Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Today we are going to talk about a very significant issue, and it is concerned with rise of inequality in recent times. What we are witnessing is that there is a huge increase in inequality in recent times. The 1% richest people of the humanity, they are taking the most of the share of the wealth that is being created in the world, and those at the ladder, bottom end of the ladder of economic wealth or income ladder, they are getting very meager resources to fulfill their basic needs. So we have millions of people, in fact billions of people, who are living in absolute poverty, who are living in absolute misery, in difficulties in modern times. So in this context, the Oxfam, an international organization which which does research on economic issues, particularly those related with poverty and inequality. It has published a report, a publication, and its name is Survival of the Richest: How We Must Tax the Super Rich Now to Fight Inequality. So it is about inequality, the problem that we are facing, and what the possible solution for the problem is. So let's focus on some of the important things that have been mentioned in this report and that need our consideration in modern times. Now, first thing that the report mentions is that it paints a picture of the current situation. Now we have millions of people who are facing hunger, who are not having sufficient food to feed themselves. That is one of the gruesome realities that we are witnessing in modern times. Despite a huge increase in productivity and production, availability of food grains, so on and so forth, we still have millions of people who go to bed without filling their belly properly. So that is one of the issues that we are facing. Then in recent times we have witnessed an increase in the rise of costs. Cost of living is increasing, and people are not able to keep pace with the rises in the costs, and that is obviously the middle class and the lower middle class of humanity is facing, are under duress, they are under stress, and they are not able to overcome this challenge. Then we have climatic breakdown, and we know cyclones, droughts and floods, etc. They are impacting every now and then. Each country they are striking, and it is usually the poorest of the people who suffer the maximum under these conditions, and that also is a big issue. Then we have COVID-19, the sort of impact it generated on economies, on demography, on people, impacting their lives. We have witnessed that. Now we have some 20 million people have died during this period, and not only obviously died, then we have, for example, if a income earner died in a particular family, it's a disaster for the entire family. So we have huge impact on families, and there was economic slowdown, and obviously a lot of people were thrown out of business, a lot of people were thrown out of jobs, and obviously they were impacted. So this is the situation that we are facing right now. But at the same time, the richest people have become dramatically richer over the period of time, particularly from 2020. And this is the anomaly that we need to be recognizing and we need to be addressing in modern times. A contradiction of terms, because on the one hand there is a great deal of stress on majority of the humanity because they are not able to fulfill their basic needs, and on the other hand there are this 1% richest population of the humanity who is getting a disproportionate increase in their wealth and share in the wealth that is being created. So this is the issue that we are facing right now. Now what is happening? First, let us focus on the problem itself. The problem is that in the past decade, maybe from 2010 to 2020. Now what is happening is that whatever wealth was created in the world, 50%, more than 50% of it was taken by the richest 1% of the humanity. So the share of the 1% of the richest 1% of the humanity is 50%, and only 50% is then left for the 99% of the rest of the humanity. And obviously there is also inequality between this 99%. Those at the bottom end of the economic ladder, they are receiving even very meager resources for their survival. So this is a very big problem. But in recent times, what has happened from 2020 onwards is that now the richest 1% of the humanity is taking 66 or 2/3 of the wealth that is being created. Now, earlier it was 50%, now it is what? It is now 66%, or it is now 2/3. So, this is a big jump in their wealth, in their richness. But at the same time, as we have witnessed, as we have discussed, the problems for those at the rest of the humanity have significantly increased in these 2-3 years. Now, what is happening if there is this extreme concentration of wealth? How it impacts humanity, or how it impacts nations? One thing is that it impacts economic growth, because when you have little wealth left with the majority of the society, the middle class, the lower middle class, they are having very meager resources, income. Obviously, they are not able to create sufficient demand for the economy, and when they are not able to create sufficient demand for the economy, there is a negative impact on economic growth. So, economic growth is facing instability, uncertainty in most of the countries because of the rise in inequality. This is one of the issues that has been highlighted. What issue has been one of the failures that have been emphasized is economic growth is facing problems. Then obviously there's increase in corruption. When there's extreme concentration of wealth in few hands, they are able to corrupt the bureaucracy, the politicians, or they are able to corrupt the system in their favor. So they are manipulating the system. At the same time, there is threat to democracy. It weakens democratic institutions when there is extreme concentration of wealth in few hands. And there is also possibility of political polarization that we are witnessing across different countries. Then obviously there is also climatic breakdown. It is actually the richest people who are contributing maximum to the climatic breakdown, but at the same time the maximum costs are borne actually by the poorest of the people. The impact comes to the poorest of the people, maximum impact in comparison to those who are actually creating the climatic disaster. So these are the failures that are a consequence of the extreme concentration of wealth in few hands. So this is one of the big threats that we are facing in current times. Now, why this is so that there is extreme concentration of wealth in few hands? One of the reasons happens to be that there is little tax or tax on wealth, particularly for the richest 1% of the humanity. So failure to tax wealth is most pronounced in low and middle income countries where inequality is highest. So this is also an anomaly that we are facing. Those countries with low incomes, already with low incomes, over there the richest people pay very meager wealth tax, and that is a big problem. Now, one of the things that has been highlighted in this report is that in comparison to the middle income people, those people who fall in middle income slabs or lower middle income slabs, the richest 1%, they are paying very meager tax in comparison if we take as a proportion of their income. For example, the report says that Elon Musk only pays 3.2% of tax, and Jeff Bezos, he pays only 1% no tax. Now, in contrast, they have given example of one of the persons who works with Oxfam, and her name is Christine, and she pays 40% of her profits in tax. Now, this is an anomaly that we need to address in modern times. On the one hand, we have the richest people who are paying very meager tax, and in comparison to them, we have the people in the middle income slabs, in the lower middle income slab, who are paying very huge proportion of their profits or income as tax. So this is a big problem. Now, what we need to do? We need to tax the wealth of the richest people that we have in the humanity right now, and once we are able to do that, we are able to tax the wealth, it will be sufficient to take people out of poverty that we are the amount of people that we have, the number of people that we have in poverty right now. For example, the report mentions that if 2% wealth tax is imposed on world's millionaires, 3% on those with wealth above 50 million, 5% on the world's billionaires, then we would be able to raise $1.7 trillion annually. And obviously, the report mentioned that it would be sufficient for humanitarian work, apart from raising people out of poverty, 2 billion people out of poverty. So this is a significant suggestion and policy framework that needs to be utilized in in different countries that are witnessing an increase, a significant increase in inequality and concentration of wealth that we are witnessing. But unfortunately, what has happened in recent times is that earlier, when there used to be a sort of economic depression, slowdown, problems in economy, society witnessing disasters, etc., what used to happen is that the richest people used to be taxed more. But in recent times, from 2020 onwards, what is happening is that in the face of the economic crisis that we are witnessing, the richest people are given tax amenities. The amount of taxes that should be levied on them or that are levied on them, they are actually reduced rather than increased. So this is a political failure that we are witnessing, and the report argues that we need to focus on wealth tax, and we need to overcome this problem by institutionalization of wealth tax, and that is the only way we can overcome the problem of inequality, and we can overcome the problem of poverty that we are witnessing in the world right now.